Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel where I cover all kinds of supernatural creatures. I thought what better movie to cover in October than one of my favorite Dracula films, Van Helsing from 2004. I think this version of Dracula is unique and has a really interesting origin story with curses, magic, and the devil himself. In this video we're going to look at the life of Vlad Dracula, his past, why and how he became a vampire, and what his ultimate plan was. If you enjoy videos about vampires, werewolves, and other supernatural creatures, leave a like and subscribe for new videos every week. Before we get into Van Helsing, Aura has returned to sponsor another video. They have been a partner on the channel for a long time because it's a service I believe in and actually use. What is Aura? It's everything you need to protect yourself online. Data brokers are making billions selling personal information without your consent and destroying your privacy in the process. And they make no effort to stop scammers, spammers, and who knows who else from buying it. Well, that's where Aura can help. Aura protects your privacy by identifying data brokers selling your info. Aura then takes care of the hard part, automatically removing your info from these sites and keeping it off. There's a lot of services that offer this too, but none of them offer as many features as Aura for the same price. You get all the tools you need to protect yourself online in one package. You get alerts if your personal info is found on the dark web, real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking, and to help keep you even more safe, Aura has a VPN, antivirus, password manager, and more. And in the worst case scenario, if anything does happen, Aura includes 5 million in identity theft protection. Protect yourself online and try Aura free for 14 days at aura.com/KoganLawlins or click the description down below. In those 2 weeks, Aura will get to work scrubbing your personal info off these data broker sites. Thanks so much to Aura for returning to sponsor another video.
Success!
The story starts in the 1400s when Gabriel Van Helsing and Vlad were in the Holy Order together. To better understand Dracula, we also need to know a bit about Gabriel Van Helsing. Gabriel was once an archangel, known as the left hand of God. In the Book of Enoch, Gabriel took on flesh in order to come to earth to reveal prophecies, such as the birth of Christ to Mary. He has fought in many battles throughout his roughly 2,000 years on earth. Eventually, in the year 1462, Gabriel killed Dracula and took his ring. I wonder if this means they had some kind of further history together, maybe even fought together in some of these battles. In the Van Helsing video game, it says the reason Gabriel killed him was because Dracula tried to use dark magic to bring his dead lover back to life. It's not confirmed that this is canon for the movie, but sometime after killing Dracula in 1462, Gabriel's memories were taken away as penance for past sins. We don't know what these sins he committed were, and this means that he also doesn't know why he killed Dracula in the first place. Maybe the reason Gabriel's memory was taken away had something to do with Dracula. We learn that Dracula's entire family has been part of the Holy Order, the same organization Gabriel is a part of. So we know that Dracula was in the Holy Order with Gabriel, but eventually did something that forced Gabriel to kill him, most likely trying to perform some kind of dark magic. Whatever he did though must have been bad, because we know he went to hell. However, he didn't stay there long. The legend says that while in hell, Dracula made a deal with the devil, eternal life, but in exchange he would need to feed on the blood of the living. So Dracula was turned into a vampire by the devil, meaning most likely all vampires have some demonic origin, but for sure Dracula himself is demonic. Dracula now had immortality, super strength and speed, the ability to control the elements to some degree, control over werewolves, and the dwergi. Vicious dwarf-like creatures with large eyes and a whole mouth full of sharp teeth like a piranha. According to Princess Anna, they are quite vicious and industrious. If you get the chance to kill one, you should, because they'll do much worse to you. They seem to be quite intelligent. It's not clear where they come from in the movie, but the video game tells us they came from a faraway land. In the film, they speak Hungarian amongst themselves, and Igor also speaks to them in Hungarian, so maybe that's where they come from. It's also not clear if werewolves were also created by the devil, but it would make sense considering Dracula has control over them. When someone is afflicted with the werewolf curse, they become a servant to Dracula. Unlike most werewolves, these lycans eventually are permanently stuck in their wolf form, and once this happens, they are completely subservient to Dracula and cannot disobey him. Although the devil made Dracula immortal and nearly invincible, there is one thing that can kill him: the bite of a werewolf. That's why Dracula created a cure for lycanthropy. That way, if one ever did have the willpower to turn on him, he would be able to cure it. This cure remains locked away in Castle Dracula where nobody can find it. After making the deal and returning from hell, Dracula's father, a Transylvanian knight of the Holy Order named Valerious the Elder, was horrified at the monster his son had become. Although he knew Vlad had to die, he was unable to bring himself to kill his own son. So instead, using some kind of magic, he was able to imprison Dracula in an icy fortress he can't escape from. This is Castle Dracula. It's located in some kind of frozen wasteland, surrounded by a seemingly never-ending hole like a moat. It could be accessed through a mirror in the Valerious home by saying a specific incantation. Unfortunately for Dracula's father, the devil then gifted Dracula wings so he could escape this icy prison and torment the world once more. Good to know the devil can chuck some wings into the deal if you need them. Dracula can now transform into what is known as his Hell Beast form. This transformation is much more demonic looking, larger and with massive bat wings. It's possible he was able to take a form like this before, but I guess it just didn't have wings. After Dracula escaped his magical prison with his newly gifted wings, Valerious the Elder went to Rome and promised God that his family would not rest nor enter heaven until they vanquished Dracula from their land. Again, Valerious could not kill his own son, similar to Alexander Corvinus from Underworld, so he left instructions of how to find Dracula's lair and kill him so that future generations could finish what he couldn't. The incantation and method of accessing Dracula's castle through the mirror was lost to time though, so no one knew how to find him. Sometime in the next 4 centuries, Dracula turned 3 women who would become his wives, Illyria, Marischka, and Verona. They must have tried to conceive vampire children, but found out it was not possible. They could conceive and give birth, but the children would never wake. It's said vampires being undead means their children are born dead. Also, these vampire children look much different than ordinary vampires. Normal vampires were once human, therefore look mostly human. However, these pureborn vampires conceived by 2 vampire parents appear more like gargoyles, or like Dracula in his Hellbeast form. It's possible his Hellbeast form is actually his true form. Many vampires are seen in the movie, but it's unclear if they're all descended from Dracula or if he's the first. He has been a vampire for centuries, so it is possible that he turned some people and they turned more, and so on and so on. It's also possible that Dracula's wives are stronger than ordinary vampires because they were turned by him. They're able to take this special blue form with wings that we don't see any other vampire do.
I could never allow him to be used for such evil. I could.
In 1887, Dracula works with and funds the work of Dr. Frankenstein to find a way to create life. He needs the doctor to solve this mystery so that he can give life to his children. However, Dracula didn't count on the doctor not wanting his science used for evil. Once Dracula reveals the true reason he was helping Dr. Frankenstein, the doctor refuses to let him use his invention, which leads to Dracula killing him in anger. Frankenstein's monster then escapes and attempts to kill Dracula for killing his creator. This is the first time in the film we get to see how good Dracula's healing ability is. He went from a skeleton then back to normal in a matter of seconds. The monster picks up the doctor and attempts to get away, but a bit of bad timing. The townspeople have had it with Dracula and were storming the castle. They chase the monster carrying Frankenstein's body up to the windmill while the townspeople set it on fire. We see Dracula and his brides flying overhead and the windmill collapses with the monster and his creator falling into the fire. The key to creating life was the monster, and with the doctor's creation lost, Dracula was back to square one trying to figure out how to give life to his children. Although he continued to try and make the experiments work, he had no luck. It seems the machine they created needs another living thing in it to properly work. He was supposed to use Frankenstein's monster to transfer the life from it to his children, but he's now forced to try a human instead. He captures his own descendant, King Boris Valerious, and uses him in an experiment, but a human is not sufficient in giving lasting life, and the human can also not survive the machine. We don't see the first experiment, but we know his children died because they're not around, and we later see the dead body of Boris confirming what happened to him. Along with trying to give his children life, Dracula now seems fixated on finishing off his family before they finish him. Remember before I said that Valerious swore to God that they would defeat Dracula? Well, after 400 years, the Valerious family has not succeeded, and they're running out of family. King Boris went missing about a year ago, and we've seen what happened to him. His son Prince Valkan and Princess Anna are the last remaining descendants. Now, if both of them are killed before Dracula is, then 9 generations of their family will be trapped in purgatory forever. The Cardinal says the church cannot let that happen as the Valerious family has protected their left flank for 4 centuries. Dracula sends an unknown werewolf to kill Anna and Valkan. The beast is ultimately defeated, but succeeds in turning Valkan, which means it's now all up to Anna. Remember, at this time, Gabriel has no memory of Dracula or the fact that he was the one who killed him. They first crossed paths in 1462, and it's not until 1888 that their paths would finally cross again. Gabriel is sent to a town in Transylvania to help defeat Dracula. The Cardinal explains the situation to him and that 9 generations of the Valerious family are close to being trapped in purgatory. The Cardinal also reveals that Valerius the Elder left a piece of parchment behind that says, "In the name of God, open this door." It also has the same insignia as his ring, and the ring we know he got from Dracula. Upon arriving in town, they are given a warm welcome. Or not. Gabriel also divulges to Karl that if they kill Dracula, anything created by him or bitten by him will also die. They meet one of the descendants of Valerius, Princess Anna. She tells Gabriel they don't need any help when suddenly Dracula's brides attack the town. Chaos erupts with all the townspeople running for safety. Gabriel tries to keep the vampires at bay with his semi-automatic crossbow. These vampires have a great design. They were created with a lot of motion capture and using real actors' faces, which is why they look so good for a movie in 2004. The CGI in this movie aged surprisingly well. When in their full vampire form, Dracula's brides have sharp fangs, blue skin, and large wings. They're also quite strong, being able to effortlessly pick up a cow and throw it through a building. The vampires manage to kill at least one villager, but retreat when the sun comes out. Gabriel and Anna attempt to look in the well, but as soon as they do, the sun goes behind the clouds and the vampires come back out. Anna is almost captured by Verona, but Gabriel shoots a perfectly placed silver bolt right into her wing, causing her to drop Anna. She then runs into a building for safety and has a close encounter with Alira. In this scene, her eyes have a pinkish glow like her clothes. I also love the way their wings turn into their long baggy clothes when they transform. Gabriel manages to kill one of the wives, pinning her to a building with his crossbow that was dipped in holy water. When staked with holy water, the vampire disintegrated into a skeleton. As soon as the vampire is killed, the other 2 vampires that were about to feed on Anna react violently to the death of Mariska, even though they didn't see it, meaning they must be connected somehow, probably through the vampire curse. Instead of finishing off Anna, they transform and fly back to the castle, screeching and crying for Mariska. And look at that, the cow survived. To Gabriel's surprise, the townspeople aren't glad he killed the vampire. They're pissed off. They tell Gabriel the vampires only take what they need to survive, a few people a month. Now that they have killed one of them, they will be killing for revenge. The town thinks what he did was bad, but Anna thinks otherwise. She says that he is the first person to kill a vampire in over 100 years. I'd say that's earned him a drink. Well, that goes to show how strong these vampires are. It took over 100 years to kill one. We see Dracula awakens from his icy slumber, yelling the name of his now dead bride. So he's also connected to his brides, and probably all vampires turned by him. He also states the same thing as the Gravedigger, that they only kill a few a month, what they need to survive. So I guess in a way Dracula was holding back. He reminds his brides how important it is to finish off Anna Valerius when they're so close. He wants to conduct another experiment. AKA, he wants to try and have more kids. But when he says this, his wives get very upset, saying they don't know if they can go through that again. He needs to find someone, or something that can give his children permanent life. This is also the first time we see the Dwergi listening to him give his speech. He tells Igor and the Dwergi to prepare another experiment at Castle Frankenstein. He sends Valkan in werewolf form to check out who their new visitor is, aka Van Helsing. Werewolves are cursed to serve Dracula, so Valkan has no choice but to obey him. That night, there's a small break in the full moon though, which made Valkan turn back into his human form. He used this brief moment to try and warn his sister and tell her Dracula's secret, how to kill him. But right before he says what it is, the moon is uncovered and he begins to turn back. This is probably one of my favorite scenes of a werewolf turning. Valkan climbs up the wall, tearing his own skin off and turning back into the wolf. Gabriel arrives and tries to kill him with silver bullets, but Anna stops him because she knows it's her brother. Gabriel knew this also, but just didn't care. I'm not sure if Dracula meant for Valkan to be turned in the first place, but it works out great for him. His biggest threat, Anna, won't kill his werewolf because it's her brother. Perfect protection. Anna says that she has heard of a legend that Dracula could possibly have a werewolf cure, and if there's a chance, she has to try. This is the first we hear of a cure to the werewolf curse. On their way to Castle Frankenstein, they find werewolf hair on a tree branch. Anna says that werewolves only shed before their first full moon, meaning before the curse has completely taken them. This means that after the first full moon is complete, the werewolf will be stuck in their mindless wolf form permanently, so Valkan hasn't been a vampire long. They continue to track Valkan, and that leads them to Castle Frankenstein, where Dracula is in the middle of trying to conduct another experiment, this time using Valkan instead of an ordinary human. Dracula says that hopefully with werewolf venom running through his veins, he will be the key. We've seen that he's tried using a normal human before, but they don't provide adequate life. Gabriel and Anna arrive at the castle and discover a full room of egg-like sacs. Offspring. This is how Dracula's children look. Hundreds of them hang from the ceiling in fleshy cocoons. Valkan's father's body is thrown out of the machine and Valkan recognizes the necklace. He is then connected to the machine himself and hoisted to the roof and struck by lightning. This energy is then being sent through the castle to his children, shocking them to life like a defibrillator. The eggs begin to move and Gabriel opens one up to see what they're dealing with. Gargoyle-looking creatures with large bat-like ears, wings, and a tail. They rush toward the town to feed, and Dracula says, "Pray to the devil that this time they stay alive." Dracula follows Van Helsing and gets a chance to talk to him one-on-one. Van Helsing tries to stake him with a silver stake, but it does nothing. Dracula realizes that Van Helsing does not remember their past and calls him by his true name, Gabriel. He seems to know quite a bit about Gabriel. He says, "You're the great Van Helsing, trained by monks and mullahs from Tibet to Istanbul, protected by Rome herself, but hunted by all others." Up until this point, he has only been named as Van Helsing. Dracula then reveals that they have a history together. He even knows about Van Helsing's memories of ancient battles. There seems to be more to their relationship than we ever learn. But before he gets to tell the story, Van Helsing pulls out a silver cross. Dracula grabs it and it ignites into flames and melts in his hand. I like how after that, Dracula just politely says, "Perhaps that's a conversation for another time." Suddenly they are interrupted by the screaming of one of Dracula's wives, and Van Helsing uses this opportunity to get away. Dracula's wives have returned because his children died. While attacking the town, they all suddenly begin to pop like balloons and explode, horrifying Verona and Illyria. This is why they didn't even want to try the experiment again to begin with. It turns out a human won't work, and neither will a vampire. Dracula needs Frankenstein's monster. It's the key to the machine, and the only way his children will live. Now, I don't know how he would know that, because he's never tried it, but I guess he assumes because the creature was created by Dr. Frankenstein and successfully lived longer than his children, it must be the key. However, as far as we know, the monster died with his master.
It would appear the good doctor took the key to life to his grave.
Gabriel finds Anna, who fought her way through the Dwergi to the top of the castle. She found her brother, but he was too far gone. Van Helsing then shoots a Batman-style grappling hook across the large chasm to safety. I said this before, but I like how this gun is normal size, but somehow like 1,000 feet of rope comes out of it. That much rope would weigh a ton. Valkan transforms into a werewolf, escapes his bonds, and tries to follow Gabriel and Anna, almost killing them in the process, but they escape. Dracula tells his brides and Valkan to track down Anna and Gabriel and kill them. Presumably Gabriel has fought vampires before, but he's a bit surprised that Dracula is immune to stakes to the heart, silver, and crosses. Anna says through the centuries, her family has tried everything. Silver, stakes, guns, holy water, crosses, nothing works. Nobody knows how to kill Dracula. He's quite literally unkillable with physical force, as shown in the beginning. He's also quite unique compared to all other vampires because holy water stakes and silver do work on ordinary vampires, but not him. Coincidentally, they're at the windmill that was burned down by the town, and they suddenly fall through the floor into a cave-like area underneath. Down there, they find Frankenstein's monster. He's been living down here this whole time. He must have fell down below when the structure originally collapsed, but then stayed there in fear that Dracula would hunt him down. After a small scuffle, Gabriel shoots the monster with some tranquilizer darts, putting him down. The monster says, "If you value your lives and the lives of your people, you will kill me, for I am the key to my father's machine." It's possible because he was imbued with technology made by Dr. Frankenstein and is made up of 7 men that he can withstand the experiment. That also confirms that no other person will work, since the machine was designed around the monster, and he admits that he is the key. He also tells Gabriel that there are more children. The ones he saw were only the children from one bride, from one birthing. In Castle Dracula, there are thousands and thousands more. Back in town, Carl finds something interesting in the tower. He leans on part of the wall and it opens a secret compartment, revealing a painting with a sort of prophecy on it. It says this: "Even a man who is pure in heart and says his prayers at night may become a wolf when the wolf's bane blooms and the moon is shining bright, or crave another's blood when the sun goes down and his body takes flight." Suddenly the painting comes to life and the 2 men fighting transform into a vampire and a werewolf, predicting events to come. I can't really decipher what the text exactly means other than it's referencing Gabriel being a holy man and becoming a werewolf. While Gabriel and Anna are in the cave with the monster, the werewolf sees them and escapes. Now Dracula will know where they are. But much worse, he now knows the monster is still alive. Gabriel says if they can get the monster to Rome, he will be safe there. They use Transylvanian horses that are apparently the fastest in the world, even faster than werewolves. Not long after the journey starts, Dracula's brides attacked a carriage, but Gabriel planted a trap. There's actually 2 carriages and one is filled with explosives and stakes. He jumps over a broken bridge and the carriage breaks off and the bride Verona chases after it, thinking the monster is inside. But when she opens the door, she sees the stakes and attempts to fly away, but there's no use. Dracula is now down to 1 bride. Gabriel rejoins with the actual carriage and not long after are attacked by the werewolf. The monster actually helps Van Helsing during the ordeal and they manage to kill Valkan. Everything seems to be going well, except during the fight, Gabriel was bitten by the wolf and he has now been infected. Anna begins backing away in fear and is caught off guard by Dracula's last bride, Illyria. She knocks Anna unconscious and takes her to the castle. Van Helsing arrives in Budapest with Carl and the monster is approached by Illyria, saying Dracula wants to trade Anna for the monster. Gabriel agrees, but with no intention of handing the monster over, and Illyria tells them to come to the masquerade ball on All Hallows Eve tomorrow. They shoot the monster with a tranq dart and hide him in a cemetery. Carl informs Gabriel he won't turn until his first full moon, which is in 2 days, and he'll be able to fight Dracula's influence until the final stroke of midnight. As they're leaving the cemetery, Carl asks, "Don't you think he can get out of there?" And Gabriel says not without some help from the dead. A moment later, we see a hand come out of a crypt. I'm not sure if these are zombies or vampires, but they must be some kind of evil creature under Dracula's control. At the party, Anna seems to be under some kind of hypnosis by Dracula, dancing around with him unable to control herself, and as he says, "How does it feel to be a puppet on my string?" He also kisses Anna, which is like his great times 10 granddaughter. While they're dancing, they go in front of a mirror, and we see that Dracula has no reflection. I've seen this movie so many times, but it was only when I made a previous video on this movie that I realized that not only does Dracula have no reflection, but neither does anybody else. Meaning everyone here is a vampire. Like I mentioned earlier, I wonder if all these vampires are technically descended from Dracula, or if some were around before him. Gabriel knocks out a trapeze artist and uses the ropes to save Anna, but just as he sweeps her away from Dracula, Igor enters the room with the monster. This makes me think that that hand coming out of the crypt might have been Igor. Everyone in the party reveals themselves to be a vampire, forcing Gabriel, Anna, and Carl to make a quick escape. They try to chase down the monster, but Igor gets away on a boat by closing a gate on them. Gabriel has his first outburst of anger, showing the wolf is starting to take hold. They go back to Castle Frankenstein to find the monster, but instead they find all the scientific equipment has been moved. Dr. Frankenstein's machine and everything else has been taken to Castle Dracula, but they don't know where that is. King Boris spent years trying to find Dracula's lair, but never succeeded. I guess Valerious did not make it obvious how to find his son. Boris would spend hours staring at the map in Valerius' tower. Gabriel thinks that this wall is literally the door, but Boris just didn't know how to open it. Lucky for them, the Cardinal gave Van Helsing the piece of parchment left behind by Valerius himself. This piece completes the map, and after Gabriel says what's on the parchment, "In the name of God, open this door," the map suddenly turns into a mirror. Anna says that Dracula has no reflection in a mirror, and Carl adds, maybe to Dracula it's not a mirror at all. Gabriel attempts to touch the mirror, but his hand goes right through, and it feels cold on the other side. They walk through to find Castle Dracula in all its glory. The castle door is closed, but Gabriel grabs a hold of Anna and Carl and jumps about 20 feet in the air 3 times and then back down to the ground again. His transformation is getting much closer. He has a moment where his face changes slightly, but he gets himself under control. They walk into the castle and Igor is caught off guard, saying, "How did you find? It's impossible." He didn't think anyone would ever find Castle Dracula. He must have thought the secret of how to open the door was lost. As they're talking to Igor, they hear the screaming of the monster. He has been frozen in a block of ice or something, and they are hoisting him to the top of the castle for the experiment. On the way up, he yells something to Van Helsing. He says there's a cure. Dracula has a cure to remove the curse of the werewolf. So it turns out those legends that Anna heard were true. Gabriel can't help but wonder, why would Dracula need a cure? That's when Carl has an epiphany. The painting, that's what it meant. The only thing that can kill him is a werewolf. Even though they are under Dracula's control and basically his slaves, if somehow one ever had the willpower to turn against him, he would need a cure to remove the curse before it killed him. Gabriel forces Igor to take Anna and Carl to the cure and also tell them where Dracula is. Before splitting up, Gabriel gives Carl a silver stake and tells him that if he isn't cured before the final stroke of midnight, Carl must do it. While walking through, we see that Castle Dracula is absolutely massive. Look how big this hallway area is and how tall the towers are. The experiment is beginning and Gabriel makes his way to the new laboratory and Igor of course tricks Carl and Anna. As they enter the room with the cure, he pulls a secret lever that drops the gate, trapping them inside. The cure is in a special kind of liquid that acts like acid. Alira arrives and Anna fights her off while Carl takes the antidote to Gabriel. All the while, Dracula is preparing the machine and the monster. Gabriel arrives to save the monster, but while trying to free him from the machine, it is struck by lightning, sending the first bolt through the castle. Dracula says, "One more bolt and my children live." Dracula sees Gabriel trying to free the monster, and this is the first time in the movie we get to see him take his full Hellbeast form. Before this, we only ever seen it in the sky or cast as a shadow. He manages to knock Gabriel off the tower. The monster tries to escape on his own, but is struck by the second bolt of lightning, awakening Dracula's thousands of children and sending the monster flying over the edge of the castle. He hangs on for dear life to a wire and survives, and also accidentally kills Igor at the same time. Alira is trying to kill Anna when the monster comes flying through the window at just the right time. This allows Anna some time to get away, but she ends up finishing Alira with a stake to the heart later. That's Dracula's last bride killed. In the laboratory, Gabriel and Dracula are about to have their final showdown. Dracula says he's too late. His children live. Now Gabriel knows the only way to kill Dracula's thousands of children is to kill him. Because we learned in the beginning from Gabriel that if you kill Dracula, all bitten by him or created by him will also die. Also, at this point, Dracula has no idea that Gabriel was infected by the werewolf. So when he begins to turn, Dracula looks a bit worried. After transforming, Gabriel wastes no time. Dracula is winning the fight at first, but when he tries to fly away, Gabriel quickly jumps in the air, bringing him crashing down to the ground. Now Gabriel has the upper hand because Dracula cannot fly around in this enclosed space. Dracula momentarily takes his human form, and for the first time in the movie, we see him bleeding. He can heal from almost anything, except the attacks of a werewolf. Gabriel is about to finish him off, when there's a break in the full moon. Just some cloud cover can cause these werewolves to temporarily change back into their human form, like Valkan did in the beginning. However, this only happens before their first full moon, because we learned that these werewolves become stuck in their wolf form permanently after that. Dracula should just kill Gabriel right now, but instead he tries to plead with him. Dracula says he just wants the continuation of his kind, it may be the return of his ring. This surprises Gabriel because up until this point he didn't know it was Dracula's ring. Dracula says he can give Gabriel back his life, his memories, but Gabriel says some things are better left forgotten, and then the moon comes out and he transforms back into his wolf form and bites Dracula. The werewolf venom instantly reacts and Dracula's body begins to shrivel up and die, crumbling to nothing. His thousands of children then all explode. Anna reaches Van Helsing just in time, but as she runs toward him, he attacks her. It's about to be midnight and Carl knows what he has to do. He is about to kill Gabriel when he turns around and grabs the stake. You think Carl's in big trouble until the camera pans down and you see that Anna managed to stab him with the cure. Unfortunately, Anna died, but she gets to be with her father, brother, and the rest of her family. And Dracula was vanished before passing, meaning her entire family is not condemned to purgatory. As for vampires, it seems that only Dracula could control werewolves. I wonder if the devil gave this gift to Dracula knowing it would be his downfall. Other than his weakness to werewolf venom, he is in my opinion one of, if not the strongest version of Dracula. He's not weak to silver, holy objects, you cannot stake him, burn him, or really inflict any physical damage because he heals instantly. On top of that, the only thing that can kill him, he has control over. It took the actual left hand of God to have the willpower necessary to overcome the curse and fight Dracula. And even for him, if he didn't kill Dracula before midnight, he would have been screwed. As we've seen with Valkan, he couldn't even resist Dracula before his first full moon. So it's very rare for someone to be able to do this. Something I wish the movie would have told us is why did Gabriel kill Dracula in the first place if they were both in the Holy Order? Like I said before, the game states it's because Dracula tried to bring back his dead lover with dark magic, which I think is a good backstory. The other question I have is why did Gabriel have his memories taken away in the first place? Is it possible that he wrongfully killed Dracula and caused this whole cycle to start? That's my video on Van Helsing. This movie has always been one of my favorites. It just has a certain charm movies don't have anymore. I watched it for the first time when I was pretty young and I've only grown to appreciate it more. Some things about the story were not fully fleshed out, like why Gabriel killed Dracula or why Gabriel lost his memories. But the characters, the sets, the lore, I thoroughly enjoy it all. I also don't get when people say they don't like Richard Roxburgh's version of Dracula. They say he's too over the top, but that's what I love most about this version of Dracula. If there's anything I missed, please let me know. Also, if there's any other movies, TV shows, or video games you want me to cover, leave them in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. It helps the channel and I really appreciate it. As always, an extra big shout out to all my members for supporting me. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.